Alistair. I couldn't believe it when I read the fact that your horror obsession started when you watched Critters 2. Is this true?
Oh my God, where'd you read that? Yeah, I'm wearing a Critters t-shirt.
And you are
so there you go. Yeah, that was one of my earliest horror memories was Critters 2, because we weren't really allowed to watch scary movies in my house growing up. And I would wait till my mom went to the grocery store, immediately run over to the TV and turn it on. And the first scene, first horror memory of mine was seeing the Easter Bunny get eaten alive in Critters 2. I was 6 years old. I loved it. And yeah, just went on from there.
And how did it go on from there? I mean, did you sort of did you go to film school?
After high school, I worked as a film projectionist for a long time. That was kind of my passion, was just taking care of movies and hosting screenings of archived 35mm films. And then finally I bit the bullet and decided to go to film school and went to Vancouver Film School, and it was amazing. And then I went to LA, directed music videos for a long time, and but they always had a horror bent. I always tried to bring, because horror is just my one true love, and I always tried to bring that into even a pop stars video. I tried to add, kind of a scary feeling to it, and then made the Diabolical.
Which you've said is I'm just quoting another thing, saying it was very similar to Switchblade Romance, we know it here is, but high tension, you would call it. You said you were inspired by that film.
Oh my God, yeah. In the early 2000s, I was tremendously inspired by the French New Extremism, the movement. So it was like Aja and the movie Inside and Frontiers and Martyrs. That was the perfect time for those movies to come out, because I was in film school at the time, and I was trying to figure out why horror movies don't look beautiful and why we don't try to kind of make them look as great as a drama could or a science fiction film, and those guys were doing it. Plus South Korea was with all their revenge films at the time. So it was a really nice mix, and it was quite influential.
So go right through the whole sort of inception of the Diabolical then. I mean, where did it come from?
As you know, there's 5,000 ghost movies that come out every week, and I just wanted to find a new way to explain them. And I was watching some terrible, we have a lot, in the States we have a lot of shows about paranormal activity, and where the camera crew goes in and they're trying to explain why the pencil moved across the desk. And I was like, let's try to explain that with something that's somewhat logical. It could be something from the future, and I've always wanted to do something with time travel. So I was like, what if time travel is causing every single thing we see? If you watch Poltergeist and the girl's getting sucked into the ceiling, what if that's because there's an experiment going on? And that's where the genesis of the idea of Diabolical came from.
Was it a hard sort of pitch to sell? I mean, was it difficult?
No. As soon as you said time travel horror film, people would go. They get dollar signs in their eyes.
I want it.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard to sort of do. It's still a really small film that we tried to make look really big, so it was sort of hard to do it in a smaller scale. But once I explained the concept to people, it was easy to get them on board, and the production of the film actually moved quite quickly.
So, because it's your feature debut, though, people didn't have a problem with that because they could base what you were going to do on your music videos. They saw how you were going to do it.
It was really helpful to come from music videos, because nowadays music videos are made for as low as $1,000 for an entire video, and you have to figure out a way to do a lot for a little. And they knew that I had that experience of taking, not a lot of money, making it look a lot bigger than it is. So it really helps out with horror, and a lot of horror directors actually are really good at that and end up getting more work because they're very good at doing a lot with nothing. So, in Diabolical, it was like shooting a music video every day. We were just at the seat of our pants trying to make the scariest film and most adventurous film we could.
So when did Alistair get involved? When did she become attached?
Pretty early on. I mean, we had the script finished in summer of 2013, and then I had a lunch with Ali in November of 2013. And she was our top pick from the day one. I've always been a huge fan of hers, so...
From what? The Resident Evil movies?
Resident
Heroes?
Evil, Final Destination,
Right.
Heroes. I always thought, even when she would be in something that wasn't so great, she always shined, and she has a really strong presence and can really carry a movie, regardless of the subject matter. And I just always wanted to work with her, and I was incredibly intimidated at first, but she's really, really great.
Well, she says that sort of you presented her with sort of designs, a lookbook, should we call it.
Yeah. I don't know. I just like being really prepared. So I'm always overthinking everything. So I try to. outlined basically every page in the script and the color palette and how it was going to look and feel and how we were going to shoot it and what lenses and everything. And I overdid it this time because it was my first movie, and I won't do the same for the next one, but it was really helpful to get Allie on board because she was like, okay, this won't be a nightmare. And yeah, she really responded. She just wanted to make sure that the story, which is challenging in a sense because it's time travel. Can I say that? It's tough to talk about the ending, but she just wanted to make sure that it made sense in a way that made sense to her as like a mother, because she's a relatively new mother, and she really wanted to make sure that the relationship with the children and her was really strong.
You're right into the action almost immediately, aren't you? I mean, this is unusual the way you begin the film. I think.
That's just my impatience. I whenever I'm watching a movie, I don't know. My goal as a filmmaker was always to make something that doesn't stop from minute zero. And I don't know if we were successful, but I at least tried to make sure that the film really catches you on the seat of your pants and doesn't stop going. Sure. I mean, I love slow burn films, but I couldn't make one just because I have ADD and I need everything to be moving at 99 miles an hour at all times.
And as you said, the look is amazing, and the sound design is top notch.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you obviously sort of like really paid attention to this because you knew of the theatrical experience.
Yeah, I mean, film scores were probably my biggest influence as a filmmaker, rather than a specific director.
Oh, who?
Danny Elfman, Elliot Goldenthal. Danny Elfman was the first one I really got attracted to, and when I got his music, like Beetlejuice and Batman, as a kid, I was like, oh, this is incredible, and it was great. And James Horner, the Alien score had a profound impact on me as a kid, because I would play that and play with my action figures at the same time, and sort of like start making movies that way. And Elliot Goldenthal is my favorite composer of all time, and that was a big thing. So when I finally got the opportunity to work with our composer, it was amazing for me. I mean, that was one of my favorite parts of the experience, just trying to design the score in a way to make it sound huge and really loud and really just try to scare the crap out of people.
What do you say to people when, I mean, one of the very few criticisms of the movie is the fact there's no, the backstory, you don't really fill in too much. You really just are sort of full pelt in and it's going. And what do you say to people about that? That you don't care and that's not what it's about?
I do care, and I'm glad people will produce questions, and it's good to open up discussions about the movie you just saw, and I think it's good to talk about. We do leave a lot of clues if people are ever confused about it. It's all in there. And I will also say that it's just tough when your characters are in the present and they're trying to learn a lot about the future, and you don't have anyone from the future there to explain it. We didn't want the expert character to come from
the
future
exposition,
time.
yeah.
Right, because that character always pops up in haunted house films. It's the Vincent D'Onofrio character who just shows up and explains everything, which is great usually, but very difficult to do when you're dealing with time travel, and when the time travel is going to possibly rip your test subject in half.
I mean, you're going to stay in the genre. I mean, you seem like a massive fan. Yeah. Is this it? You're not, you're going to stay?
No. I mean, this is definitely not it. I love horror films and science fiction, and I'm a genre person. Yeah. It's a great sandbox to play in, and I just enjoy doing it. It makes I can listen to Halloween music on the way to work and still get to like cover people in blood, and it's always worth it no matter how stressful it gets. It's like you're making a haunted house every day, and that's
So what have you got planned? What's coming up?
A few things. Either a desert killer truck epic in the vein of The Hitcher or Duel.
So if I was to ask you what was the one major lesson you learned from your feature debut with Diabolical, what would you say that was?
Make sure that when you cast children, you're casting. And I got really lucky that you have kids that definitely listen to you when you're trying to direct them, because we really had our work cut out for us with the kids, and they were amazing and responsive, and it was.
Actually, that must be quite difficult because you're putting them in sort of, I suppose, life-threatening situations. I mean, you must make sure that they think it's a game or something.
Yeah, it worked out because I run a camp for children every summer. Ah. So I already had, and that was a big deal with the people that produced the movie. Like, have you ever worked with kids before? And the answer was no, not with a camera in the room. But I mean, I've taught them how to make movies and stuff, and so I'm used to working with them and talking to them as like a.
So you've had 5 years of scaring kids at summer camp, and now you can go.
Exactly, and it really worked out, and they're just amazing.
Well, listen, we're so pleased we've got it at FrightFest. Thank you for coming with it, and All success to you. So thank you very much, Alistair.
Thanks so much for having me. It's incredible to be here.